Hello everyone, I am Darrin SanRomani and I am the Pre-K through 5 principal in the Fairfield USD 310 district in Langdon, Kansas. My wife Emily and I live in Kingman, and she is a night shift nurse at the Kingman Hospital. Living with us at home are 3 children. Finley, our oldest, is 7 and is in 2nd grade. Jace is 4 and in preschool, and then Miles, our newest, is just about 9 weeks or about 2.5 months old. I began my teaching career in 2011 at Cheney Elementary School as a 5th grade teacher. There also I coached middle school basketball and high school football. After 7 years of teaching 5th grade, I took my current position at Fairfield in 2018. And my goals for education are to continue to be a positive male influence for all my students, and also to do whatever I can and work above and beyond to reach the state goals put forth by the State Board of Education. And right now, I chose to enroll in this program just to make my overall better leadership experience, make sure I'm doing everything I can for my district and my students. I don't really, at this time, have any aspirations to be a superintendent, but eventually would like to move up and do something maybe with curriculum finance at the district level. So now let's examine what a supportive, equitable, culturally responsive, and inclusive district culture should look like. Collaboration with all stakeholders is a must, first and foremost, in my opinion. Collaboration with students could be working in the classroom together on projects and those type of things, but also through mentoring, getting out of the classroom and working with other students, other adults in the building, community members coming in, those type of things. District and school employees must collaborate to create this inclusive environment, but this collaboration needs to go beyond traditional academic collaboration and really be looking at the whole student. Collaboration with families, inviting them in the school, see what we are doing in the building, having those adults work with teachers to plan activities, what they can do to help, but just getting them involved as much as possible. Also, meeting with community members, those that may not have kids in the building, and getting their help, bringing local businesses in, those type of things. And then local and state policymakers also, they need to kind of see what we are doing in the building, and that can help advocate and promote the positive things that we are doing with students. Second, I believe in order to create this type of environment, everybody involved has to have intentional efforts. The school has to do everything possible to make sure that the environment is welcoming to all. Students need to feel safe and secure, as do staff, and community members and parents need to feel that they are welcome to come to the building and see what's going on. The district's mission statement and goals need to be strategically planned out, collaborative in the approach of how you are creating the mission statement and goals. It needs to be very intentional of what we are doing in the district. All stakeholders, students all the way up to local board members, need to have a shift in thinking about school culture. You know, we're not in the traditional times of only focusing on academics, we're focusing on the whole student. So the shift of thinking, you have to have an intentional effort to change the way that you think about school. You have to have an intentional effort of knowing the students and their backgrounds, getting to know the families, where they're coming from, some of the history of what a student may have gone through, but we need to really get to know our students at a deeper level. And then this is a continual process. You know, in my mind, there's no end line where you cross and you finally say, we've created this culture. No, it's a continual process. You are always revamping. You're always examining what we are doing good, what we need to improve on, and it's never stopped. Next, the district must have a strong line of communication. Staff communication between each other, from the leadership to the staff. You know, they need to know if we're doing something new, because there's nothing like parents finding out before staff and something like that. So they need to know what's going on. We need to have multiple methods of reaching our community members and families, using social media, traditional phone calls, all-call system, email, whatever it might be, even finding out from parents what method they prefer and using those. But we need to have great communication through more than just one aspect. With that communication, we need to have meaningful conversations and dialogue with the people that are coming into our schools. Need to truly look at what we are trying to do and conveying those things to the people that we are having conversations with. And again, we need to address that we are open and welcoming to families. They need to know that they do have a voice in our school system and that we will welcome opinions. They might not always like the decisions that are made after that, but they know that they are being heard. And then with communication, we also need to include inclusive language. That is thinking of the person first instead of maybe an aspect or a disability or something else that they may have. We don't want that to define them. We want them to be a person first that has these attributes along with them instead of just diagnosing them as something and labeling them. Moving forward, in the school culture, they also have to have a high accessibility to our school. Through that, we can improve it by sending things out in maybe a native language that they speak first, using the inclusive language and making sure that we're doing everything possible to reach those families that might not speak English as a first language. We can use surveys to test kind of the temperature of the district of what we're doing well, perceiving what we need to improve on, and analyzing that data very carefully to make improvements for the district. Site visits and tours for new students, or if you're in a larger district where you have multiple elementaries going to a middle school, having those students come, tour the building, see where things are at, see the absolute crucial things that they need to, and then maybe even doing a test run of a schedule of what it's going to be like for those students. Also for new families coming in, just so they get familiar with the school, but definitely have an accessibility to come and see the building. And then once again, open communication. Having multiple methods, very accessible communication to them where they can see it in more than one way, or hear it in more than one way too. And finally, in order to have this type of environment, there needs to be a lot of professional development. In all these points that I have here, we cannot simply just say we're going to do these, here's a book, read up on it, and implement it. They need to have intensive professional development and training in order to do all these bullet points. Global education is a shift of thinking and may be completely new to veteran teachers and new teachers, so very in-depth training needs to happen with that. Flexible and fluid grouping might be new to some also, and how to strategically place students in groups, you definitely have to have some training on that. Evidence-based instruction, again, a lot of people in our buildings may not have heard of those things, so a lot of professional development there too. And positive behavior strategies if we're implementing some type of district-wide behavior plan, instead of just saying here's a book about capturing kids' hearts to read up on it, implement it. They need to have a lot of training. Impact on my own learning, current practice, things that I am using as a leader and also as a teacher. Positive behavior strategies, differentiated instruction, tiered instruction, flexible grouping, and evidence-based instruction. I think that is something I'm very familiar, that I use almost every day in my job. Things that I'm familiar with: implicit bias. I know that everybody has their own biases, but being very aware of those is something I need to definitely improve on in my own practice. Global instruction and culturally responsive instruction, things that I'm definitely aware of. I'm not using them right now. I need to do some more work on that also. And then new to me, strategy instruction and universal instruction, those things I had actually never heard of, so those are very interesting to me reading those also. How my district is doing in USD 310. I think at the elementary level, And in the high school level, I think we have a very good behavior intervention using social workers and our mental health liaison to plan appropriate studies and lessons with students to model and show what we're trying to implement in our district. Tiered instruction and flexible grouping, and differentiated instruction, this is all, when we were KRR building before it got shut down, we had intense training on that. So we were very familiar with this type of instruction. Almost every content area is taught in small groups and differentiated for these students. Communication, we use multiple methods of communication. Try to send things out in native languages when possible. And we have a very welcoming culture. We invite families in all the time for tours and site visits. Very accessible to the community to come, since we're in kind of the middle of 6 small communities. It's kind of the home base of our district. Improvement areas, community involvement, getting people in the building is sometimes kind of hard. Transportation sometimes is an issue, but definitely we could do better with community involvement. Implicit biases, I think a lot of the adults employed in our district do have some of these biases that they need to be aware of and make sure that they're not letting those gear their attitudes and everything towards students. Student achievement could be much higher. I think with our district and state assessments that we can see that we have some room for improvement. We do not have a lot of professional development built into our schedule this year, and something that I think we need to redevelop a little bit. And then evidence-based instructional strategies, the elementary school uses it very well. Middle school and high school could use some improvement in our district. How districts can implement this and how it can be cultivating by accepting and welcoming families, making sure that they know they are welcome to come into our building, the use of tiered instruction to make sure we're reaching all students, and leaders setting the high expectations and modeling what they expect inclusive environment to look like. And it can be advocated by having a family literacy night, showing the parents how we are conducting things in our classroom, having proper mission statement and goals, and then also the use of social media. Key stakeholders in our district for support, students do across the board. Most teachers do, administrators do definitely, and then most parents, we still have some. As you can see on the opposed side, some parents are very traditional thinking in school and think it should only be academics. Some board members are the same way. Some teachers are the same way. They want to do their content area and then be done with the day instead of teaching the whole kid. And then some community members also, as stated in the parents, have a very traditional look on schooling. Student support by inclusion, Students need to feel safe and secure in school, that it is a place where they are welcome. Personalized learning by using tiered instruction, differentiated instruction to fit the needs of all students. Increasing community and parent engagement in the district, getting the parents and community members in and working with students and teachers. And then students receiving a well-rounded educational experience instead of just content-focused. So for this standard correlation, I learned what a supportive, equitable, culturally responsive, and inclusive district is and what it looks like. And then I also was able to see how a district can develop and lead a shift of culture to have a more inclusive environment. It is relevant to me because I was able to see how I am doing as a leader in my own building. I was able to see what my district does well and what we can also improve on. Reflection, district leaders have to be very conscientious of their own biases. They also have to strategically communicate the district's mission and goals to all stakeholders and get them involved in making those. And also, district leaders have to plan with everybody, stakeholders, of intentional professional development. Here are my references and credits for being able to create this presentation. Thank you.